Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Atlantic League Quarterfinals. Today we've got a good matchup for you between Peter Frantz and Josiah Emery. Josiah was the surprise of the tournament, going 5-0 in a very tough group. That included defeats of Scott Sennin and Anthony Russo, Ted Livermore as well, and just a really impressive first round from Josiah. Peter went 2-3 in group play and ended up in a three-man playoff for the final advancing slot, and was able to defeat Ed Prem and Justin Nordstrom. And then he also won 2 out of 3, went the distance with Stephen Deutsch and in the first round. And so we are now here in the quarterfinals. Winner of this one gets the winner of Ryan Pindelik and Gabriel Panic. They played their first game with Gabriel taking the upset. So we will see if Ryan can claw back and win games 2 and 3. The reigning OTSL champions certainly won't be a tough out there. But for now, we're going to get to see Josiah and Peter. I know some of the Twilight Struggle world has been eager to see Josiah in action. He is he's had a great run so far in the tournament, and he has not had his game streamed live. So we're going to see how that plays out. But let us get into it. We'll be watching from Peter's side. We'll have the whole series for you. So whether that is 2 games or 3, we'll have the whole series for you. And for now, let us move on. We'll be watching at 1.5 speed from Peter's side. Peter started as the USA in the first game. Josiah, as the higher seed, had the option to pick sides, and he selected to be the USSR to start. So here we have it. So we have Josiah's hand, and at first glance, this is pretty. So there's a little bit of a mixed bag here as a hand. You've got 9, you've got 10, 13, 14. You've got 18 ops, so just right about average number of ops. But you've got Vietnam and Decall, so 2 cards you're glad not to see in the USSR hand. You do have a 4-op. You do have a good headline in CNS, but you're going to have to give one of VR and SOC Govs. You're going to have to hold one of VR or SOC Govs. You could probably hold SOC Govs for blockade. You really hope you don't get purged here. Purge would be devastating with this hand. Without it, it's workable. You just have some cards to deal with, because you're probably going to give Vietnam at the end of the turn. Oh, goodness. That's not what you want to see if you're Peter. This is a big, big problem for him. Because now he's got a 1-op Decall in hand. He's got a 1-op Vietnam. He's going to have to now space SOC Govs. And here's a coup and a big roll for Josiah. Gets him Iran. And now Peter going into Malaysia. So normally going into Malaysia is the key play here, but I don't know that it's that important at this exact moment, because Peter holds Vietnam and Decall in his hand, so it's unlikely he's going to get Thailand swiped from him right away. Decall could potentially open him, going to Malaysia could end up opening him up to a duck coup as well. I think I might have waited on Malaysia for an action round, but I'm not sure though. And but that's what Peter does. I think I would have liked to see him go into Lebanon instead, but we'll see how the play works out for him. I would like to see him get presence in the Middle East. But Josiah getting off that purge, that is a big problem for Peter, because on the other hand, Peter is going to need to give up Vietnam revolts, so getting into Malaysia, pretty important for him there. And boy, I'm really surprised to see see Josiah take Syria there. If Josiah had the scoring, I would dump it immediately. And if he didn't have the scoring, I would assume Peter doesn't. Peter also doesn't have the scoring, so Syria doesn't seem to be that important. Okay, a coup of Lebanon, and he gets the roll. That's certainly annoying for Peter, but Peter now is going to get some mill-ops and just miss badly on the roll here. And so if Josiah does have the scoring, he's going to have the ability. Yeah, okay, so he dumps it right there, and he's able to get 6 VPs out of it. That is really painful. I'm a little bit surprised at Josiah's play. I think it might have been perhaps a little bit greedy. I would have happily dumped Middle East scoring for 4 there. Um, and and when Peter didn't take Lebanon right away, but Josiah pushes hard and gets it for 6. Also think Peter might have been able to potentially go into Egypt there and neutralize Dom that way, but then he obviously gives up access to Thailand. And now Josiah spacing 5-year plan. Don't see that very often as the USSR on turn 1. And Peter going to try and coup out Vietnam before DEFCON goes down below 3 and misses on that roll. That is a disastrous miss because now Josiah can take Thailand and Peter's still down 2 mil-ops. Oh my goodness, what a disaster of a turn 1 for Peter. So Peter did take a little bit of a risk there, yeah, and he's just going to put 3 there, which makes sense. And Peter needs mil-ops. So he's going to try Pakistan. I think that's... Oh, my goodness. Wow. So rolls a 1 on a Lebanon coup, rolls a 1 on a Pakistan coup, and rolls a 2 on the Vietnam coup. Didn't need huge numbers there either way. But... yeah, maybe the safer play for Peter was to just go into Egypt and force Josiah to coup there or score it for neutral. But Peter went for the coup in Lebanon, just came up short. Went for the coup in Vietnam, came up short. Oh, that is rough, tough to take there. And Josiah dumps Europe's scoring in the headline. So now DEFCON is at 4, and we have seen defectors, I believe. I believe Josiah played defectors on turn 1. So if he had Asia, he could have dumped it there. But Asia, unlikely to get worse for him. Wow, okay, so Josiah going to coup there and give Peter back-to-back, in effect, back-to-back action rounds. Oh, and he's got D-stall as well, so that certainly hurts. Now... good news for Peter is that Josiah does not have Asia. So Peter taking a look at that. I wonder if Peter will... so if DEFCON were 2, certainly Peter would probably go Colombia, Venezuela. I'm not sure it's not a bad idea now, especially with 2 ops. Yeah, I like this decision here by Peter. Yeah, I very much like this play by Peter. What I would like to see... okay, so this is good. What I would like to see is Peter going potentially... and so Colombia is good, followed by Egypt. And then I'd love to see Peter put 2 into Southeast Asia to stop domination temporarily and discourage that coup of Venezuela. Bluff that he has the scoring. Peter obviously doesn't have the scoring, but Josiah doesn't know that. And now Josiah with a decision to make. He's going to try a 3-op coup, probably. Oh, he's going to go for the Algeria coup and miss. Okay, so that's a nice break for Peter. Peter now can expand into Brazil. He's got to go Angola as well. Yep, I like Angola. I don't know if you necessarily need 2 Algeria because you've got access to it already. Yep, like this decision here. I also might have used Suez there. I think Suez probably good because you're going to give it up anyway. You're going to use blockade to dump decall, and you probably want to just get Suez out of the deck, especially at 4 ops. So I think I might have liked using Suez there, but I think that's a fine play. And now I have to think D-stall is coming into Zaire, into the bottom half of South America, at least one there, Nigeria, and then maybe Algeria as well. Let's see where Josiah goes with it. Goes Algeria, Chile. Yep, that's exactly how I would have played it. Don't like this decision here by Peter. I think I think I probably would have liked to see him play Suez first. Well, and it only cost him 1 in France. But then again, I suppose de Gaulle, never mind. This is fine. Peter, without any additional ops to spare. So one of De Gaulle. De Gaulle was going to cost him 2 and Suez 1, or Suez was going to cost him 1 and De Gaulle 2. It's one reason why I would have liked to see Peter use Suez before the D-stall, so that Peter could then just fill France with De Gaulle, and then you'd have both bad France cards out. But either way, this works fine. So, turn one was an absolute disaster for Peter. There's no question about that. And Asia still looks very bad. But both of the bad France cards are about to be gone. Going to space blockade and hold decall. Interesting. Okay. Certainly being able to hold decall is valuable, but that leaves blockade in the deck, which is always annoying for the US. And now Nasser, which I like, 1 Libya, 1 Egypt. No, no, I don't like this. I don't like handing over Egypt like that. I like leaving 1 in Egypt. Yeah, some players do this. I like leaving 1 in Egypt, and I like making that play on AR6 because that way Middle East is even, and the U.S. can freely headline it if they draw it. Now you've handed Middle East domination back. Yeah, I like leaving 1 in Egypt for Sadat purposes, and forced USSR to spend an op there, not knowing whether the scoring is going to come back. So special relationships, certainly Peter happy to see that. And that gets him an extra op in France. And now he'll be able to resolve Suez first. Another reason why I like the 1 in Egypt is because now Peter with no access in Israel. So this is a little bit of a problem for him because he could get couped out of Libya and then not be able to take presence back in the Middle East. 1 France. Okay, and then he's going to stop Asia domination. Okay, that's fine. You hope you score it, and then if Peter draws it, he's going to be able to headline Asia for free, and he does not get it. Another bad break for Peter. Although these are fine cards, he's more than happy to get. I'm sure he would have liked to see Asia in his hand, which he could then dump it and not be dominated. Now he'll definitely be dominated in Asia unless he can get a huge hand here. And he does redraw defectors, which is interesting, but I think Duck is a better headline here. You must protect Libya. You cannot allow a coup here. I think you have to headline Duck. Oh, well, Sock Gov's redraw makes Marshall a better play. I was concerned about Peter getting cooed out of the Middle East, but if the plan was to headline Sock Govs, then obviously Marshall's a great headline. So ignore me. I look stupid. Peter looks smart on that decision there. So now Josiah with a decision to make. Is he going to take a coup in Libya? Is he going to take one in Angola? Or perhaps Europe's scoring was redrawn and he could dump it? Man, I would really be worried about Libya being my only foothold in the Middle East. And Josiah is going to coup where? 2 op says Angola, and he rolls a 1. Big break for Peter there. He's going to be able to retake Angola. That was one of those famous anything but a 1 coups in Africa. And Peter will gladly take Angola back, and I'm sure take France back as well, just in case Josiah does have the scoring. So Europe has to feel good now. Peter with domination there, and all three Europe attack cards for the USSR are gone. I still would like to see 1 more in France, so Quag, ABM, that kind of stuff doesn't flip it. But Europe in good shape at the moment. Also, another reason we did see NATO. NATO was used for a turn 1 AR1 coup. Yes, Asia's only going to get worse for Peter, but there's absolutely nothing he can do about it. So just give the USSR other things to deal with. I think that's wise. It's been a little bit of a rough game for Peter, but one thing he does have going for him is he's got double space. And so he's got Decall and Korean War in hand. And if he wants to, he could space both and see if maybe he can get to headline peak for the mid-war. Now, I know Peter will also want to take South Africa. He'll want to put another one into France. He'll want to take Mexico. He'll want to maybe contend. Oh, and there's the purge. So a redraw there. And Peter taking no chances. He's just going to overprotect there in South America. So I think you want to take Mexico. I think you want to take South Africa. Don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I really would like to get one into Egypt just so you're not marooned there in Libya and then you get wiped out of the Middle East entirely. Peter misses on the space roll. He'll have another chance if he wants it. There goes Asia. That's going to be a cool 8 for Josiah. So 13. And Peter misses again on the space roll. That is rough. Peter now down 13 VPs, which is about to become 15. Peter with 6 ops to play with here. 2 Mexico, 2 South Africa. Perhaps a poke of Argentina is in order here as well. We'll see how he decides to handle it. So Peter down 15 VPs, which is a huge, huge margin. The board doesn't look terrible for him. An early Sadat will even up the Middle East, even put Peter ahead. An early grain sales will even up Africa. Again, even maybe put Peter ahead there. And then Asia is his worst region, but Asia is scored. Not sure I understand the decision to jam France with EEU. It's an easy fix for Josiah. I think just taking Saudi Arabia or Iraq would have been better. I think putting ops in Middle East battlegrounds was fine. Josiah also knows that Peter has US-Japan, so it's not like he wasn't going to be able to beat that back. Josiah also perhaps, okay, there's a 2. Okay, so now Peter will not be able to take both Mexico and South Africa. Goes to the Egypt poke. Okay. And goes for Portugal. I'm a little confused by, but okay. All right, gets Africa scoring. That's not the scoring he wanted. Missile Envy, a potential headline here. I think it's got to be Missile Envy, and you really hope you can steal the coup. Because if you can steal the coup, Africa, you can get a Dom out of Africa. And Muslim Revolution is a disaster for Peter. If Josiah has the scoring, that's going to be GG. Oh, okay. So a little bit of a break there for Peter. Now he'll be able to get a 2-op coup off in Africa. Rolls a 2, just enough. Now, if Josiah has Middle East scoring, he can't play it right now. He's got to play Missile Envy. Peter has Alliance, but Middle East is right now going to be 6. And if he plays Alliance to just get the scoring up to a more reasonable level, Peter can just calmly take more Middle Eastern battlegrounds. Yep, like the decision there to take Cameroon and with it domination. Yep, Zaire is good. Saudi Arabia, I think, is very good. And Afghanistan, that is fine too. And there's Middle East scoring. So that's your ball game. That is, yes, and JR pointing out appropriately that having to give it 2 with missile envy is really bad. So Josiah's hand was very terrible, but it didn't matter because he had Muslims and the scoring was able to get off a presenceless dom. 2 presenceless doms in the Middle East. So, just a tough break there for Peter. Peter decided to go for the Lebanon coup back, needing a 4 to get presence in the Middle East. Didn't get the roll, and then didn't go into Egypt, but because he wanted to save his ops, and the Middle East really hurt him there. Gave up, I believe, it was 12 or 13 VPs there. So really, that one really hurt. And then obviously Asia was bad, and Africa was would have been even. South America, even Central America looked fine, and he just didn't get Europe either. So, rough beginning to the series for Peter. That is a turn 4 steamroll. But we move on to game 2. So, just going to make sure we get here and start the video. Okay. So we'll still be watching from Peter's side for game 2. Peter is the USSR. And Peter's hand this time looks a little bit better. He's got VR and Asia scoring, so he'll be able to get off an Asia domination barring a defector's headline. Peter also gets NTB just like he had last game, gets Truman just like he had last game. So this hand a little bit better, very low on ops, however. He's going to want to space NORAD, and he's got 1 4-op, but other than that, just 1s and 2s. I would expect a VR headline followed by an immediate scoring of Asia, unless he wanted to take Thailand first. But generally, if I have the scoring, I like dumping it. And of course, Middle East for Peter. So Nasser could have, Middle East for Josiah rather. So Peter could have saved some VPs. Instead, he's going to get 5 VPs, so he'll net 1 there. But always rough when you have when Middle East goes off in the headline for the U.S. Even rougher if you've got Nasser in hand. But I think Peter absolutely made the right call there, headlining VR with Asia in hand. So now Asia and Middle East scored. Priorities may shift to Europe, but generally as U.S., I like expanding into Asia here and just punishing the USSR a little bit for not coupping Iran. You could also see a Vietnam coup, but I think just expanding into Asia here, spreading out of Iran is fine. Peter, on the other hand, is going to want to get to space quickly, so I think he'll want to. If there's no pressing priorities for him, he'll want to get captured Nazi off and then have an opportunity to get to that double space slot by spacing NORAD. He's also going to want to get Truman out, and a poke of West Germany is pretty good here. He'll want to do it later in the turn if Josiah doesn't fill France. Now, I do know, folks, in this game that Peter had a little bit of an issue with recording, so we will, the video may stop, and then and then I'll have to restart it from a second video that captures the rest of the series. And another 4-op for Josiah, and he's just going to, he's going to fill France right away and go into Pakistan, so wasting no time to take domination in the remaining unscored region. Peter's saying not too practiced on Vietnam openings. Yep, I get that. Sometimes things get, as my friend Ted calls it, high DEFCON weird. And so, sometimes you don't know exactly where to go, especially as a USSR. when you have to spread out, you're spread really thin early and don't have a lot of ops behind it, and DEFCON stays high. So as it is, Peter's going to take Thailand, which I think is the right decision. Make sure you expand out of there. Getting Thailand's important, even obviously with Asia scored. Getting Nasser off will be good for Peter as well, but I think getting space is more important. And Josiah may have Europe scoring here. But if he hasn't, he hasn't. There's nothing Peter can do. Yeah, wow, he has it. So he had the 2 good scorings, was able to get 9 VPs out of it. Peter's going to claw back a couple of those by going to space. And now all 3 early war regions scored in the first 4 ARs of the game. And Peter with a 2 VP lead. And neither player with a coup thus far. Yep, I like this decision by Peter. I like filling up Yugoslavia when I get an early Warsaw like that. Even with independent Reds gone, just get yourself a non-battleground. Just make the U.S. think a little bit. Yep, and now Nasser a little bit less effective, but Peter wants to coup anyway, and so where's he going to go with it? He's looking at Pakistan. Gets a 3, which is just enough, but now Josiah with the opportunity to coup that back and get in the last coup in Asia. Getting a 3rd into Yugoslavia also good when you have Truman in hand, so it doesn't remove your access down there in Italy. And a big 4-op coup. Josiah, wow, just enough, rolls a 2 to knock Peter out of Western Asia. And Peter now with a decision to make, thinking about an Iran coup, needs a 5, doesn't get it. And now, after that miss on the coup, he's going to give up Lebanon as well. I'm not sure I love the 1-op coup there. I think I might have been okay with DEFCON rising higher and doing something like going Lao, Malaysia, making use of that Vietnam bonus. Because even if you roll the 5 there, it's only going to get you Iran. It's not going to get you. Western Asia. And interestingly, Josiah does not take Lebanon, and then Peter takes the opportunity to event Nasser. Peter instead decides to overprotect France when Peter has no access to it. Maybe we're going to see de Gaulle here. And then Josiah also goes to Angola. Peter has not been playing like a man who has decall. And then just a 1-op and goes a 5th into France before going Lebanon. Lebanon seems like a really important country here. And okay, this turn 2 hand much better. But again, look what I know. Peter gets de Gaulle, and so now won't be able to flip France. However, at this stage, with Peter not drawing any access cards, Angola, being able to coup Angola is much more valuable than taking France. So I don't think Peter would try to flip France even if he could. I think he would want to. Okay, yep, and defectors, good headline. IP war would have been nice to win, but it wouldn't have been huge. And now you get a nice, yeah, boy, you better not roll a 1, Peter. Okay, rolls a 5. And so that's going to get him 2 countries in Southern Africa. And now Libya up for grabs, Lebanon up for grabs. And neither player has played into South Korea yet. Good chance Josiah has the war. So if I were Peter, that'd probably be next on my list, assuming Josiah takes Libya here. Two in Libya and 1 Pakistan makes sense. Yeah, I think Peter's got to go into South Korea. Lebanon, good. Yep, okay. Yep, this is a good decision. Yeah, I like Lebanon too. And then Afghanistan to threaten Pakistan. Peter should take Laos at some point as well. And as for the rest of this hand, I think Peter's going to want to space NORAD, play containment on the last action round, probably hold 5-year plan. De Gaulle not great now with France sitting at 5. I think putting France at 5 is good. It's fine, but Europe was scored, and I think getting to Libya might have been more valuable earlier. But regardless, Peter gets it, but Josiah gets it anyway. And there are a couple ops in Pakistan. Like the decision to play into South Korea further. I don't think Josiah is probably going to seriously contest South Korea here. And so I think Peter will want to probably fill up Iraq. He'll want to fill up South Korea. He needs to get into, he probably will want to get into Zaire as well. And he's going to want to space NORAD. He's got 7 ops. I would suspect we'll see 2 in South Korea, 2 in Iraq, 1 in Zaire, and then maybe something like a West Germany poke. Although, you know what? Never mind. A West Germany poke is weak with France sitting at 5. Maybe something like Saudi Arabia. Yeah, like the decision to space here. Don't like the roll. But now, very quietly, Josiah has lost Europe domination, so he's going to need to take another country in Europe to get Dom back in Europe, or he's going to need to play independent Reds. There's blockade, stop Peter's Asia Dom, and it's going to dump socialist governments. Not destall, so destall coming out on turn 3. Yep, like Iraq and South Korea. And there goes destall to space. Think I probably would have used blockade to discard destall and then potentially space .govs, but to each his own. .gov's also something that could be used for ops under containment. Because it's still positive. Yep, and so Peter does go with the West Germany poke. I don't know how it's not that valuable for him given that France is double overprotected though. I think I might have rather seen those go into Malaysia, maybe Saudi Arabia, maybe Afghanistan, something like that. But he does go with the poke and force Peter to fix that. He forces him to put 1 in West Germany and then 2 more into Portugal. Okay, so that means special relationship not going to get Dom for Peter. It will stop Asia Dom. Okay, and we go to turn 3, and Peter gets decall, so he's happy to see that. Although he does already have Thailand, Angola, and Zaire. He gets independent red, so I think we'll see him space that. Korean War and Suez not really going to do him much good. 5-year plan also can discard Europe. And so I think IP war is probably the headline here. You could headline Europe, but no, you can't headline Europe because EEU would be a disaster. Okay, Bert the Turtle is fine, and now Peter may need to event the war. This is a big roll for Peter. He just misses. And Peter now looks like he wants to fight for Asia Dom, but I don't know. I think I might have rather just seen him take Malaysia there. Because that's a 2-op play that can be fixed with 1-op. Might rather just take Burma there. So Peter will certainly 5-year plan Europe. We've already seen AI war, but obviously that could have come back. And Peter, oh, never mind. Peter, of course, has IP war. So what am I talking about? And there's a 4-op. So 2 Malaysia, 1 Pakistan, and 1 Algeria seems good. And yeah, Josiah knows that Peter has decall. So and he's going to spend 3 in Southeast Asia to really try and push for this Dom. But it, again, can be parried with just a 2. From Josiah. There's more mill-ops for Peter. And this time he wins the war, gets the 6. So he'll take those 2 VPs. So 1 Burma will reestablish Dom. Might I like to see 1, something like, yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if 1 Japan does much good. So now Josiah's going to have to, okay, so he'll have to take Japan with Japan. And now I think you dump the scoring here in Asia for blank. It's not going to get any better for you. No, I don't like that decision. I think you dump Asia, space independent Reds, and then dump 5-year plan with Europe. And Peter's saying he should have headlined decall, but decall could have been redrawn. I like the IP war headline. If you win, that's a huge, huge roll. I think Peter's use of decall was fine there. I think I like the decision. I don't like the decision to play Europe scoring there. I think I would prefer to see. Should have headline decall this turn. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, decall would have been better because you would have gotten the Dom off. But getting it defector is pretty painful. Okay, yeah, spacing makes sense. You don't want to give up independent Reds. And you want to see if you can get to double space. And Peter once again misses on the roll. Been a little bit of a theme for him so far. But I assume Peter's plan here is to 5-year plan Asia. And if that's the case, he needlessly threw away a VP by scoring Europe. He could have 5-year planned Europe. Asia is going to be even. But minor issue there. I assume now Peter will want to take Saudi Arabia to reestablish Middle East domination. And I think he'll also, wow, Marshall for the event. A little surprised by that decision from Josiah. Marshall just didn't seem that important to me with Europe scored, France already at 5. And I think, not only that, I think Josiah also had NATO this turn, so activating NATO not a concern. I think the 4-ops might have been useful somewhere else, even just to jam something. Doing something like taking South Africa, putting 1 into Iraq to get access there on that side of the Middle East. Heck, even taking Taiwan to get a potential Formosan domination later, although, well, there's speak of the devil. Okay. And so Josiah being very protective of Europe there. He's going to protect Italy from brush war. He's going to take Guatemala, like that decision. And so Peter now gets a couple of VPs from Mill-Ops. So we're going to go into the mid-war even. And Peter hoping to get D-Stall or Junta, something that he can use to get access into South America. And this ain't it. We've got some garbage here. Bear Trap and 2 annoying US2s to a plus special relationship, which is not active, so not an issue. And Sadat. Hate to see a turn for Sadat with Egypt at 1-3 and Middle East unscored. This hand, well, it sucks. It sucks for Peter. So we'll see how he handles it. And yeah, Lone Gunman Not a bad choice here. Okay, well, certainly Peter, happy to see him pull that one. That will definitely get returned, and we're going to see a coup in Africa. But hate to see grain sales, as that's going to make this hand even more annoying. And you wonder, and I don't think we're going to see a coup in Egypt here. I think Peter will be happy to. I would assume that Josiah would be happy to concede the Middle East domination in return for foothold in Africa, and South America scoring. Oh, and VOA. Wow. Okay. So this is a very nice hand for Josiah, and in fact, a hand that would suggest you want to play the China card as soon as possible to make cultural not be free. But I don't know what the heck you do with it. I guess you're taking Saudi Arabia. Also a hand that suggests you want to dump Middle East as soon as possible, though. That's the other issue because you see Camp David and VOA in there, and Josiah knows Peter has the scoring. Okay. No, I don't. So I would rather see Peter use China here because of Cultural Revolution in Josiah's hand. Yeah, this is definitely a tricky spot. Okay. Well, now I suspect we might just see cultural used for ops to take South Africa. This is not a great board for VOA. Yeah. Yeah, I think playing China here was the right, or either playing China or dumping the scoring would have been fine. This is not a great board for VOA. Angola sitting at 5. VOA is just going to be annoying. VOA probably will be saved for the last action round, would be my guess, where it can create problems in Asia. Yeah, and a free cultural, no surprise there. Yeah, and I don't understand I'm not sure I understand why not you just score here. Peter maybe doing the Muslim bluff. You've already got a domination. The opponent knows you have the scoring. I would rather use those ops to take South Africa. Okay, well, there's VOA. Okay, well, that's a great outcome for Peter. He gets VOA out. Now doesn't have to worry about it, and he's still got a nice dom there in the Middle East. And now uses China and is going to poke Libya. See, and that's a situation where I don't know that the Libya poke is even particularly valuable. I might have just used Nixon there because you really only needed 2 ops out of that play. And now when you play, and then you play Nixon to get rid of China. And now when you play Nixon, you don't have to give up those 2 VPs. Okay, there's South America scoring. Peter does not have a playable 3 to take Libya with, so he's going to have to he's going to dump Middle East scoring 5. So, okay, so he uses China, gets an extra VP out of poking Libya, and we'll see how he handles the rest of his cards. These cards are all terrible. I suppose he could self-trap, but I don't think they're that bad. Maybe he's counting up battlegrounds for kitchen. Okay. Yep. And I think the extra ops might have been better used taking South Africa than poking Libya, but um, either way, he gets rid of the big threat of VOA and just is able to easily repair it. This will be a UN of, I assume, Fidel. Yes, indeed. Which gives Josiah domination. And I think I would imagine we want to see Peter. I would imagine Peter wants to go to space here and then maybe try and double space. Tries Hail Mary realigns instead. I think I would have liked to see Peter try and double space here and potentially get to that third spot because Josiah is certainly going to space here. He's gonna want to get rid of libs. Yeah, no question about it. Pretty great start to the mid war for this guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was a nice hand from Josiah. Okay, and I see what Peter's saying. He did not want to give up access to both Libya and Egypt when he played Sadat. That makes sense. That's why he wanted to poke Libya. He does get an extra VP out of it. Now he's going to space CRGs, and of course he fails. So my strategy of getting to double space would have failed miserably. So, boy, that's a painful miss there for Peter. And now now in the unscored regions there are two. He is dominated in Africa and controlled in Central America. So Peter needs those scorings to wait a while before they come out. And there's Camp David, which, wow, okay, gives domination in Asia. The poke of North Korea. Ted Livermore would certainly appreciate it, but I like the Camp David event. Just even if only to spread out in the Middle East a little bit more, even with Sadat already played and Middle East already scored. I like Camp David as an event. But okay, we move on to turn 5, and Peter gets Junta. Oh, that is a disaster of a defectors. Peter needs a big roll in Panama, just gets enough to sneak in there. Oh, that was a bad defectors. Oh boy. Even a 1 is fine here. Yep, and there's a 6. So that's going to be Central America control. And there's not a thing that Peter can do about it. So that's going to be a cool 7. So not sure what Peter can do here. I think you probably want to just dump Southeast Asia, get rid of the obligation. South African unrest is a potential play as well. Yeah, taking back North Korea is of course good. And there's another 2 VPs. Oof. Nuclear subs is a problematic event for Peter as well. Yeah, Peter looks to be in some serious trouble here. And Josiah going to space and miss. That suggests to me that he does not have one small step. So maybe Peter can get away with a double space on this turn. Omit for the event. Always a fine play, but I'm not exactly sure what Josiah was looking for there. Gunman is gone. There are no bad scorings out either. So obviously looking for maybe OPEC, Quagmire, Muslim Revolution, and he gets Quag, Brush War, Sock Govs. Sock Govs really just an annoyance at this point, so I guess it worked out for him. Yep, South African unrest, a good play. Just forcing Peter to fix that. Forcing Josiah to fix that, rather. Yep. Lib Theo Fidel, and then ABM, and then of course defectoring Junta. Yeah, that was painful. And now Brush War, which would have been a good tool for Peter to use to get back into this game, is in the discard. So a good omen there from Josiah. Interesting, Josiah going to Ivory Coast as opposed to the conventional spread out to both Cameroon and Saharan states. Peter finally does get the space race to go. Josiah space very early, so he doesn't have, don't think he has one small step. I think I'd probably space again here if I were Peter. That's exactly what he does, and he misses on the roll. Now Africa, the only unscored region. But the much bigger problem for Peter is that Josiah has 3 dominations on the board to none for Peter, and Gunman is gone. And there's a big 4-up that's going to jam North Korea and give a 4th domination, albeit perhaps temporary, to Josiah. Peter desperately needs a coup in Africa here. And this hand is garbage. Panama Canal and OAS are going to give access to South America. NORAD and Usuri are annoying to give up. He does get 1 small step at least. OPEC is just 2. So, yeah, I think Willie's the right headline. And there's Africa in the headline for a domination. So, just rough if you're Peter. Now, Peter can still take the coup in Africa if he wants, but I think he'll want to protect North Korea here and not give up Asia domination. Nope, takes his coup. But now all the regions are scored. But now he's going to give up North Korea. And with it, Asia Dom. So Ted, I hope you're watching, because North Korea is about to flip over to the blue side. Yeah. JR makes an interesting point. You could headline Panama Canal return and coup that and get access to South America that way. And in hindsight, that's a great play. Of course, the problem is you desperately wanted that coup in Africa. So you wanted to take your coup. You want to take your coup in Africa and stop domination, but Josiah headlined the scoring. Well, there's access to South America anyway. And I like the realign in Argentina. And something, if you've heard this before, Peter misses on the roll. So Peter now in serious trouble. He needs to get some dominations on the board, and he needs to do it in a hurry. He's behind in Europe, he's behind in Central America, he is behind in Asia, he is behind in South America. The Middle East is even. And he is ahead by a battleground in Africa. There's a couple of VPs. Peter probably thinking about war games here, but in order to get to war games, you need to get some dominations. Kennedy for ops. Ugh, boy. Tell me you're winning without telling me you're winning is playing Kennedy for ops on turn 6 when you have the opportunity to hold him through and then discard stuff for good on turn 7. Yes, Lone Gunman is gone. And there's OAS because why not? And a coup in Sudan doesn't even roll well there. Josiah needs mill ops here. Oh, there's the Gaulle, which, let's see, yep, Josiah's going to overprotect. Yep, a good decision there. And then I assume we'll see Portuguese here from Peter. Maybe taking some African countries. Can't get Dom with it, though. Can't do anything in South America. Oh, he rolls a 1 on the coup. Just brutal. I would have liked to see Peter poke something there. Maybe poke Algeria, just something that makes Josiah think and means he doesn't get mill ops, but Josiah doesn't get mill ops anyway, so he concedes the 2 VPs for mill ops. And we move on to turn 7, and there's CIA, Duck. Oh boy, okay. Well, Salt will can help Peter get out of CIA. Alliance is obviously unplayable. The Pope is always annoying, but very playable with Poland at 7. You can try and get off arms race. So I wonder, if you can UN CIA, so UN of CIA, you space Alliance, and you try and space Duck as well, or maybe you give up CIA, because I'm trying to think of a war game scenario here, where Peter can perhaps get to 6 VPs, 7 VPs. We will bury you will help. Arms race could help. Space could help as well. Headlining the Pope is the USSR. Wow. Okay, so CRGs is going to give Dom back. No, it will not give Dom back, but it will put 1 in Thailand and I'm sure annoy Peter. Peter having to give up the Pope in the headline, but I don't think there was another play to make. You certainly hold on to Salt, and you can't risk headlining CIA. So yeah, you're going to give up CIA, you're going to UN Duck, and you're going to space Alliance, I think. And you probably event Salt if you can get anything good. Okay, gonna UN Duck. This is fine, yeah. Okay, so he gets 2 mill ops. And now puts the ball into Josiah's court. Now Josiah, I believe, knows that Peter has arms race. So Peter certainly wants to get arms race off. He got Allende and D-stall again. Yeah. Yep, that's right. That is pretty brutal. Just no access. No access. He had Junta. He did get a turn 5 Junta, but it was defected. And there, you realigned out of Nigeria in 1 roll. No surprise. I like using arms race here. I think you've got to get arms race off. Your only hope in this situation is war games. You're about to be dominated in 5 out of the 6 regions, and you're only even in the Middle East. You got to be looking for VPs any way you can get them. So I think eventing arms race here is the play. Get to 2 VPs. Okay, So a coup in Cameroon. I mean, I think Josiah will just take Nigeria here. Okay. Now arms race. No. I like we will bury you for the event. Okay. I like arms race first, then salt, then we will bury you for the event. Then we space alliance and we hold duck. That would be my sequence of play here, to just try and generate as many VPs as possible, because then you get 3 out of arms race, 3 out of we will bury you. Then you get potentially in war games territory. Okay, Peter finally does get off arms race. Yeah, Peter making the point that you could even salt for arms race, but that maybe not with the China card around. Okay, and Peter spaces to stop double space. And Josiah spaces to stop Peter's double space, but now Peter gets headline peek out of the deal. Okay, and there we have the end of the first video, so I'll have the rest of the series. I'm just going to call it up just right now. Okay, so we missed just a tiny bit, but Peter salted for junta, gave up a coup in Thailand now. And now he has to play junta. It's just a one-op coup here with salt in effect. Doesn't get the roll, no surprise there. Would have had to have a 5 to be able to flip Venezuela. And boy, I just wonder if Peter could have potentially used. Oh, and there's the China card. Not going to flip Thailand, just going to retake those countries there. Okay, so I wonder if Peter could have gotten to 5 by eventing we will bury you. Well, he does not get war games here on turn 8 anyway. Oh, okay. And now ABM. So that's a bad purge. And we'll see if Peter. Oh, and Peter misses on the realigns. Just a disaster. Just a disaster for him. And now he could try the realigns again, which I think. Well, no, you just. No, okay. Going to take a coup in Africa. Stop Dom there. Peter now is going to. He's going to have to either play the China card or do what I might do, which is event Brezhnev in the middle of the turn so you can space alliance. This hand is a great candidate for a mid-turn Brezhnev. I think you got to use Sakov's here to retake North Korea, but okay, yeah, decall makes sense too. Peter could not get that second roll, even rolling at +3 by my count. That last roll, yeah, he was rolling at +3 on the last roll and could not clear Josiah out. Yeah, I think I might have liked, okay, and there's Brezhnev, mid-turn Brezhnev, good play. Could have been a potential headline. Interesting, Iran-Contra scandal. That's a very early Iran-Contra. Peter going to go to space. So he looks like he's going to let North Korea go. Doesn't really have much of a choice. But yeah, Peter could now be at 8 VPs, although, again, he doesn't have war games, so it doesn't really matter. But he is knocking on the door of war games territory at least. Josiah conceding a pair of 4-op coups. Peter misses on the Botswana roll. Wow. Well, 3-op coups, rather. And he can't realign Nigeria either. Wow. So Josiah gives up the roll in Nigeria at plus, Peter rolling at +1, and Peter still can't get the realigns to go. And again at +1, Peter misses twice again on +1. Just cannot get these rolls. Wow. Really surprised to see Muslim Revolution going up there. That is with no way back into Libya or Egypt and a space slot available. I don't understand that decision at all from Josiah. Okay, he gets a 4-op coup in Zaire. Okay, I guess that makes sense if he has the scoring. But otherwise, I hate the decision. And then I like the play of Sotkov's here to force Josiah to respond. But boy, I don't like trading. Oh, and now a D-stall. Okay, well now Peter can fill up Libya and fill up Egypt. Okay. Yep. But taking the 2 African non-battlegrounds doesn't stop domination. I think I might have rather just see him fill up Libya and Egypt, maybe get off a quick Middle East scoring with war games, and no war games. And a disaster of a hand. Camp David, a problem to give up. Independent Reds, annoying but not that bad. And of course, VOA. You're gonna have to space 5 your plan with this hand and hope you hit it and discard VOA. Man, Marine barracks bombing is very nice here, but you're going to have to give up Camp David. Oh, Asia scoring. Nothing Peter can do about that. So that would have ended the chances for war games anyway. I mean, at this point, I like giving up the coup and just taking Iran. Yeah, okay. Potentially just try and score, maybe you get a presenceless Middle East out of the deal at some point later. But now, Josiah with 5 dominations on the board. Ortega is still around, but Josiah's in a spot where he can easily space it. Purge is gone. Gunman is gone. Yeah. That's been a tough one to watch for Peter. And there's War Games. Little surprised to see Josiah just punt it away like that, but I guess he's just figuring that he's got this one. He's got this one in the bag. Salt is gone, so there's no chance Peter's going to pick it back up. Josiah could easily win with War Games, but he doesn't need War Games to win. He's got 5 dominant. Okay. So this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why Josiah. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense at all to me. I don't understand why Josiah would not simply score Europe there, and then if Peter does anything except get VPs, he just wins with War Games. You can give up Brazil if you are able to win the game right there. Don't understand that decision at all. But we play on, and like I said, Josiah with a comfortable lead, up 7 VPs, and with five dominations on the board. Yeah, I don't understand it either. Okay, Josiah misses on that roll. Peter has to space 5-year plan, and he hits, so he will be able to get rid of one of these cards. And terrorism, just for the realigns, and okay, Josiah misses on the first roll, hits on the second. Peter's got to give up another VP here. He's going to give up, I assume, another one with Camp David, and then he's going to give up independent reds as well and discard VOA. And Peter will pull one back here. Gets one into Syria. I like the decision by Josiah to get one into Syria in case he gets hostage crisis out of Iran. He at least will take presence back in the Middle East. Josiah wants to get his mill ops, gets it there. And the Camp David actually quite annoying for Peter to give up. But nothing to be done about it. Because it's better than VOA. And Aldrich to give up. Oh boy, is it Middle East? That's Libs. Okay, Libs not really a problem. And Peter going to go ahead and discard VOA. We headed to turn 10. This one is all over. Even a full turn Quagmire is not going to do it here. But we'll play it out. Peter with Suez in hand is going to be able to flip France if he so desires. Actually, maybe not. He will not be able to flip France because Teardown is going to go first, and Josiah is going to be able to clear Peter out of France. But okay, we will see how this goes. I assume we'll, and now we'll just see a coup in East Germany. Coup of Poland. Okay, it was overprotected, but whatever. Peter needs some misses on some rolls, and he needs them in a large hurry. Goes ahead and flips North Korea. It shows still as U.S. domination in Asia, but it is not. That is shuttle aided. Josiah gets out in one roll. I would assume if he has Central America or South America, we will see it right here. Yeah, oh, and there's Africa. So an easy 6. Formosan actually a problem for Peter. Okay, clears him out of Argentina in one roll, but Josiah can just go right back in. Or if he has the scoring, he can just dump it right now for 4. And there's South America scoring for 4. Bear Trap, I don't think we need to use... Bear Trap's a fine AR7 play, it would seem. But perhaps Josiah has central scoring as well. And Peter self-traps. He's going to get rid of... I would have asked... Okay, going to give up Evil, get rid of Evil Empire, succeed on the roll. Does have a chance to get 4 VPs out of space. It's, as a little bit of a cosmetic measure. He's going to have the worst final scoring. Yeah, I one time won a game by 47 VPs in a game I was seriously considering losing to War Games on turn 8. Now Peter doesn't even wind up with Middle East domination. Yeah, I've seen worse. Oh, boy. Peter gets his Millops, gives up a VP there, and this will come to a merciful end. We'll see if Josiah wants to poke West Germany and Yugoslavia to get a presenceless Europe. But probably a poke in North Korea, which to give Dom makes sense too. Oh my goodness. Josiah want to see how much he can win by. And there's 2, which should be an okay. Okay, there's 2 in Turkey. Okay, 18. So 35 VPs the final margin. Congratulations to Josiah. He continues his undefeated run in the Atlantic tournament and moves on to face the winner of Ryan and Gabriel in the semifinals. Hope to have those for you, at least recordings at some later time as soon as that series is done. Peter, a heck of a tournament, just fell short in the end. Just could not get the cards that he needed, and had some critical misses on these rolls. Losing by 35 in final scoring as the USSR, never fun. Oftentimes as the USSR, you just, when you lose like that, when you lose by a lot as the USA, oftentimes it is over quickly, and as the USSR, it can drag out sometimes, and this was certainly the case for Peter. So a tough loss for him, even though, some things could have gone a little bit differently. Maybe he has a chance to eke out a War Games win in turn 8, but just a couple of rough games for him. But a heck of a tournament for Peter. You made it farther than I did, Peter. That is certainly not in doubt. So hope to have you back next year and in the tournament. But in the meantime, that's going to do it for us for now. I'll be back tomorrow evening with more Twilight Struggle action. I'll be resuming my ITSL season. So look forward to that. I might also be back tomorrow afternoon. Max Goldman may join me to do some commentary on another Atlantic quarterfinal. That's going to be Harry Wu and Tim Furrow. Actually, excuse me, that's a semifinal. Winner of that will go to the finals. So hope you will join for that one as well. But until next time, this is Justin Abramson signing off, saying that was fun, but now it's done. So long, everybody.